Thank you, Paul. And firstly, I would like to take this opportunity to thank ABARES for the opportunity to speak to you today. It is a privilege for me. While I understand that you present many different areas from the Australian different industries, my presentation today will focus majorly on wool. The reason I have come from Shanghai to speak to you today is to give you an insight into the rapid changing Chinese market, and especially the domestic consumer market, which in my 10 years of working for ABARES has evolved greatly. I will try to explain how this evolution towards affluence presents real opportunities for Australian wool in this instance. So who is ABARES? For those of who don't know, I would say that firstly, ABARES is the research, development, and marketing arm of Australian wool industry. We are not-for-profit and exist to serve the interest of over 22,000 wool grower shareholders. Our intent is to build industry competitiveness, sustainability, and profitability. To do this, we invest along the wool supply chain from farm to retail, seeking to promote wool's position as a premium natural fiber. A key element of our business is that we own the wool mark, the most well-known fiber mark. So why China? As everybody knows that China is the world great powerhouse of the manufacturing hub for years. For textiles, China has become the processing hub of the global industry, and this is especially the case for the wool textile industry. China has more processing capacity than the rest of the world combined. You can see that more than 50% of all wool textiles are processed at some stage in China. Further, China exports of textile and garments exceed 30% of the world's textile and apparel trade. The wool industry is especially dependent on China. China is the world's largest supplier of wool products. So this is especially the case for Australia. In fact, the future of Australia and Chinese wool industries are interdependent. China is now the most important partner for Australian wool industry, but also China is the most important supplier of wool to China. This chart shows how China's share of Australian wool exports, which has grown rapidly since 1990, so that now China purchases around 70 to 80% of all Australian wool. It also shows how Australia's wool totally dominates Chinese wool imports, represents also around 70 to 80% of all wool imports into China. But China is changing, and all of Asia is also changing. China now is no longer just a low labor cost manufacturing hub, but an increasing affluent consumer market. The 14 countries from the Asia-Pacific region now dominate the global GDP. So firstly, China is a bigger economy than Japan and will be, in the coming decade, be larger than the Eurozone. Secondly, economic weakness in Japan, Europe, and North America is accelerating these trends. And this rapid growth in consumer expenditure is being seen in the very rapid growth of China's affluent market, the fastest growth luxury market in the world. You can see from this chart that McKinsey research suggests that China's luxury market will reach 180 million RMB by 2015, which will exceed in Japan to become the world #1 largest luxury product market in the world. Also, the BCG group reports that China will have over 140 million affluent consumers by the year of 2020. In the next 5 years, over 30% of global clothing consumption increase will be driven by the Chinese domestic market. So just near our Shanghai office, where along the Huaihai Road, I believe some of you may have been to Shanghai, some may not. Every day we saw more than 10 luxury brand flagships just along this road, which including LV, Zegna, Hermes, Cartier. So these pictures shows just on the Huaihai Road these flagships. And why? Because the fastest growth of the premium and luxury market in China. So it is important to remember that this evolution is occurring in a centrally planned economy, which is typically our Chinese economy, and the government is actively supporting this transition. The latest 12th five-year plan, what is five-year plan? Maybe some of you knew, maybe not, which has just been released in last April, is by our central government. Which is to focus on to ensuring a smooth transition from manufacturing and export-driven economy to an affluent domestic market-driven economy. So on these slides, I have extracted some of the key elements of this latest five-year plan. For textiles, the emphasis is to add value in industry, encouraging companies to compete not only on price, but also on add value. This is the rise of brand China. And as such, the investment onto research and development, branding, and design have increased enormously. In other words, to transition from the capital-driven to innovation-driven is from made in China to to brand in China. So what we are doing, because this transition represents a major challenge and opportunity for ABARES in China, as we have had to reposition our business from the simple technical transfer focus of the 1990s to an integrated marketing, product innovation, and education approach. These trends and the latest five-year plan, which recognize them, provides an excellent platform for the Australian industry, wool industry through ABARES. ABARES now are deeply integrated with the industry. We utilize ABARES investment in research, product development, and marketing to inspire and educate industry to demand more Australian wool, which has been shown through this slide about our business model. In China, we are deeply integrated with the Chinese industry and working with two major trends in China based on this new government centralized direction. First is a new generation of consumers looking for brands, design, and in many cases, luxury. And secondly, a new generation of manufacturers looking to see how they can up-value their business. We use this investment in research development and marketing coordinated out to our Sydney headquarters to provide value-adding services to our key customers in China, which are made up of over 400 wool mark licensees covering from industry and also the brand partner. We inspire our key accounts to work with wool. For example, with the wool trend release or product innovations, etc., and then educate them as to how they can work with wool. So, for example, on technical transfer, marketing assistance, and sourcing guidance, etc. These pictures are all the activities we have conducted in China based on these two trends by working with the new generations of consumers and the new generations of the Chinese manufacturers. A key element of this inspiration and education comes also from the delivery of the information and advice to our Chinese brands and partners. For example, we have a very sophisticated wool lab trend, which is a collection of fabrics and yarns themed to show the infinite versatility of Australian wool. Remember, there's no other authority in China who could provide such inputs into the Chinese industry. And Chinese manufacturers and brands are looking to upgrade themselves as per the five-year plan. And then they will have access to a sourcing and trend education service like allows them to do so. So through this conduit of Australian wool and the wool mark, we are doing things which they will feel appreciated, and we are trying to upgrade them. Our beautiful Shanghai office is also used as a hub of where these services are delivered to our partners. And of course, we also travel to their factories for the technical transfer, trend, presentation, etc. Also, I have brought some of these toolkits here. If you are interested, just come and have a look if you will be interested after the session. And similarly, our innovation suitcase and product development capacity can also be utilized by partners who wish to upgrade their product collection utilizing Australian wool. Manufacturers draw from our globally conducted product research and commercialize it through their own operations. ABARES also runs promotional platforms that are aimed not only educating consumers on the value of wool, but giving them a clear call to action and allowing them to buy new wool products. From Woolmark Gold program in year 2010, featuring menswear luxury market, to 2011's Beauty Mission program, which we are featuring luxury women's wear market in China, we integrated from manufacturers to designers and then targeted the new consumers by providing them a new experience wool that's to educating, informing, promoting Australian wool to new generations of consumers by giving inspiration to the new generations of manufacturers and designers. In addition to the fashion category, we have different categories of market promotion, which including babies wear, sports, interior textile, and also apparel care programs. This slide shows the Woolmark co-branded promotion campaign with Listen Funds, which is the biggest infant wear brand with over 2,000 sales channels in China. So, as a wrap-up, I want to point out that China has an extremely important and rapidly evolving position in the global textile industry. China is making a transition from low-cost manufacturing hub to affluent consumer market, the world's largest luxury market. And the transition is from made in China, which is capital-driven, to brand in China, and this is innovation-driven. ABARES is working to position wool advantageously, building demand for our fiber by working with, firstly, consumer looking for brand design, and in many cases, luxury. Secondly, manufacturers looking to innovate and to up value. I feel so fortunate to be in this interesting time, and I'm confident that in near future, we will see this period as a golden era for our industry, where we have added our new relationships with Chinese brands and consumers to our existing relationship with Chinese manufacturing sector and the rest of the world. Thank you.